Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. You know, we hear it all the time. Generative AI is coming for our jobs. But the truth is, it's probably not coming for the ones you think. Today, we're cutting through all that panic and actually looking at the hard labor data to see exactly how artificial intelligence is going to impact today's most in-demand careers. So get ready because this data paints an incredibly clear and honestly pretty surprising picture of our professional future.
So let's just get right to the elephant in the room and ask this central question straight from our source material. Which jobs are actually the hardest to automate? As AI completely transforms the workplace, this is literally the single most important question you can ask about your own career right now. And to find out, we're unpacking a data-driven ranking of 20 of America's most popular careers, scoring them specifically on their true resilience to artificial intelligence. Okay, before we start naming names, we need to understand how we're actually measuring this. The ranking uses what's called an AI resilience score. Basically, this pulls from job zone risk data, which looks at how much of a job is just routine, automatable stuff, and combines it with employment outlooks from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Whether they call it an AI risk score or an AI resilience score, the rule of thumb here is super simple. A higher number, that means the job is much harder for AI to do. A low number, well, that means the role is highly vulnerable.
To really put this into perspective, let's set a baseline by looking at the absolute extremes of this data. Think about the massive gap between the top three and the bottom three here. Registered nurses are sitting all the way at the very top with a score over 80, while wholesale sales is way down in the 20s. And honestly, the wildest part about this entire 20-job dataset is that only 4 out of the 20 occupations even score above a 60. So if you were kind of hoping most of us are completely safe from the robot takeover, well, the data tells a very different story.
All right, moving to section 1. Healthcare dominates the board. Hands-on care takes the lead. When you look at the very top of these resilience rankings, there is a clear, absolutely undeniable winner. Healthcare occupations completely dominate the board. Registered nurses earn a massive AI resilience score of 82.2. That is the highest benchmark for this entire list by a pretty significant margin. It really anchors the top of the chart and sets the absolute gold standard for what it means to be safe from this current wave of generative AI.
But why? Why do healthcare workers win this race so handily? Roles like registered nurses, home health aides at 72.7, and nursing assistants at 67.4, why are they scoring so incredibly high? Well, it boils down to some very specific, fundamentally human traits. These jobs require hands-on physical patient care, deep emotional intelligence to navigate really complex human interactions, highly nuanced clinical judgment, and real-time, on-the-fly adaptability. These are the kinds of human experiences that remain incredibly difficult, if not completely impossible, for AI systems to consistently replicate. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, wait a second, isn't AI being used in hospitals right now? And yes, absolutely, you're right. But here's the critical distinction we have to make. While healthcare demand is exploding right now due to an aging population, AI's role in this sector is really just to support clinicians. It's being brought in to do the heavy lifting on administrative tasks, think data entry and scheduling. It is not there to replace that critical patient-facing care. The human touch is, for sure, irreplaceable. Which brings us to Section 2, Teaching and Skilled Trades, the power of unpredictability and mentoring. Much like healthcare, education, and skilled trades share this common thread. They require workers to operate in highly dynamic, deeply human, and completely unpredictable spaces. Education actually performs wonderfully in this data. Elementary school teachers score a highly resilient 70.0, and teaching assistants pull in a 51.2. Because look, if teaching were just about reciting facts, an AI could have taken that job years ago. But ChatGPT cannot manage a room full of energetic 7-year-olds. Real teaching requires complex classroom management, emotional mentoring, creativity, and the ability to just respond to a student's specific, real-time needs. And right alongside teachers, we find the skilled trades. General maintenance and repair workers are holding strong with a score of 53.9, and construction laborers follow closely behind at 53.2. And the reason for this is pretty simple. Doing complex physical work in chaotic, unpredictable, real-world environments, that easily stumps our current AI and robotics. You can't just unleash a computer algorithm to fix a uniquely broken pipe in some cramped, weirdly designed basement. It literally requires real-world, physical problem solving. So it all essentially boils down to this dividing line. On one side, you have human interaction and physical adaptability. On the other side, you have routine information processing.
Occupations that require real-world judgment sit safely on the human side of this divide. They are highly resilient. But conversely, those jobs centered entirely on structured data sit on the opposite side. And as we are about to see, living on that side of the divide is highly vulnerable. Moving to Section 3, high demand, low resilience, when popularity doesn't equal safety. Here is a hard truth we need to face. Massive demand in the labor market absolutely does not guarantee AI resistance. Just because a job is super popular, heavily staffed, and totally in demand right now does not mean it's shielded from the march of automation. To really see this disparity in action, just compare our highly resilient registered nurse at 82.2 to general managers who plummet all the way down to a 37.5, and wholesale sales reps, they rank dead last in this data set at 26.1. These are massive cornerstone roles in the American economy, and yet their resilience scores should definitely set off some alarm bells. Let's actually zoom in on the specific roles living at the absolute bottom of this list. We've got general and operations managers at 37.5, long-haul truck drivers at 36, laborers and freight movers at 29.9, and wholesale and manufacturing sales representatives at 26.1. It is incredibly important to remember that millions of Americans currently hold these exact jobs. We aren't talking about tiny niche roles here. These people are literally the backbone of our logistics, sales, and corporate operations. So why the rock bottom scores? Well, because compiling reports, analyzing sales data, optimizing logistical routes, or mapping out freight manifests, these are all highly structured, data-heavy tasks. And that is exactly the arena that generative AI was built to absolutely dominate. When a job relies heavily on routine information processing, the algorithm can, and increasingly will, take over those specific functions. Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, the formula for resilience. AI automates tasks, not entire jobs. Okay, I know, looking at those low scores can feel a little bit grim, but actually, scratch the panic, because the data offers a really empowering perspective on the future of work. Here is arguably the most important sentence in the entire research. AI is more likely to automate specific tasks and reshape how people work. Translation, your entire job likely isn't vanishing, but your daily routine is about to get a major upgrade. Very few of the occupations we've discussed today are expected to disappear entirely. AI is just going to take the robotic parts of your job, which frees you up to focus on the human parts. And that leaves us with our ultimate defense against automation, the human advantage. The research clearly identifies that future resilience is going to come from a real diversity of skills. The workers who combine their technical expertise with deeply human traits, things like genuine empathy, real leadership, authentic creativity, and dynamic problem solving, those are the people who are going to thrive. You can actually proactively build your own resilience right now by leaning into the exact things a machine simply cannot do. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to ask yourself today. Take a good look at your own daily tasks. How can you inject more empathy, more leadership, and more creativity to future-proof your own career? The AI revolution isn't actually about replacing us. It's about challenging us to become more fundamentally human in the way we work. I really hope this explainer gave you a powerful new perspective on the future of your industry. Keep learning, keep adapting, and I'll see you in the next explainer.